Hello everyone. In the previous chapter, we discussed how depression often arises from the condition of wanting but not obtaining. While this condition is a necessary trigger for depression, it is by no means a sufficient one. After all, there are numerous counterexamples. People who face crushing setbacks yet emerge stronger. Considering Gou Jian, king of Yue, who endured humiliation and hardship to ultimately reclaim his kingdom, or a young man who, after being rejected by the love of his life, chooses to seek new opportunities rather than fall into despair. Why do such similar circumstances lead to drastically different outcomes? Let's talk about the role of personality. First, personality plays a significant role. Highly self confident individuals are more likely to respond to failure with resolve rather than despair. A person with this trait might think, I may have failed this time, but I'll prove them wrong. I'll succeed eventually. For them, the negative experiences The negative experience doesn't generate a powerful despair gene or a self abandonment gene. Instead, their robust personality linked gene related to self confidence and determination is frequently activated, creating a buffer against negative emotions. Even if despair related gene waves are present, they remain too weak to dominate behavior. However, this resilience doesn't mean the negative G disappears entirely. It still exists, acting as a subtle resistance in their behavioral G vector dynamics. The second factor lies in alternative interpretations of negative experiences. When a negative outcome occurs, if the brain activates other G that form connections with the negative feedback experience G, this can significantly alter the emotional trajectory. For instance, imagine a student fails their university entrance exam due to uh, a toothache, toothache during the test. Instead of failing to, instead of falling into despair, he attribute to the failure attribute the failure to his toothache rather than his abilities, preventing the development of depressive G. These two factors reveal a crucial insight. When a powerful G is frequently activated, it sends G waves that connect with other G in the brain. These G may compete with one another, leading to different emotional outcomes. This insight also provides a pathway for treating depression. Consider a story from China's Cultural Revolution. A devout Buddhist teacher, repeatedly humiliated and on the brink of collapse, was contemplating suicide. One day, a monk secretly handed her a slip of paper with 7 words. This is the time for practice. These words activated his deeply ingrained faith in Buddhism, Ju, specifically the sub-Ju associated with enduring suffering as part of spiritual practice. This activation created a connection between her overwhelming negative experience Ju and her spiritual faith Ju. From that moment, every time her negative feedback experience Ju was activated, it increasingly triggered her faith-based Ju, which provided her with a sense of purpose and strength. This process, however, often involves the decay or resculpting of self-abandonment leading to transformative change. The key takeaway from this story and many similar ones is that uh, connecting a patient's negative feedback experience with other positive or empowering can fundamentally reshape their emotional landscape. This process disrupts the reinforcing cycle between negative feedback and despair or self-abandonment, replacing it with connections to other G that promote resilience and hope. Psychological therapy can be designed to facilitate these connections, especially when combined with pharmacological interventions. In severe depression cases, similar principles apply. Leveraging the plasticity of G, we can guide patients toward healthier emotional pathways, much like treating phobias by gradually reshaping the G network. But how do we select the alternative G for connection? This depends on the patient's personal experiences and history, often drawing inspiration from successful cases of psychological intervention. A deeper question remains: how do positive G com- compete with despair or self-abandonment G? When the negative feedback experience G is activated, it sends out G waves that can simultaneously activate both positive G and despair-related G. These G waves may reach the G wave projection area, creating a tug of war between conflicting emotions. For example, in the case of the devout teacher, upon seeking the monk's note, she might think, "This is a test from my faith," while simultaneously feeling the echoes of despair. If external guidance or stimuli are introduced at this moment, either emotional state could dominate her consciousness. This process reveals a critical connection to the phenomenon of focus. By understanding how sensory input energy waves selectively reinforce one emotional pathway over another, we begin to uncover the mechanisms of attention and its profound impact on emotional healing. This insight um, marks the beginning of our exploration in the mysteries of focus and how it can be harnessed to transform despair into hope, one G at a time. So this is all the content today. I'm sorry for my low level of English and the noise my family makes. See you next time. Bye bye.